Hello, welcome to Tara Waller's, Jesse Balanik's, and Eric Thornquist's talk, providing 3 perspectives on mobile learning integration in the Academic Bridge program at Zayed University. Hi there, my name is Tara Waller. I'm originally from the United States. I'm an English language instructor with experience in Japan, the US, and have now been in the UAE for the past 6 years. I teach along with my colleagues in the Academic Bridge program at Zayed University, which is a language foundation program. More recently, I have been involved in faculty development and training in the institution's Center for Educational Innovation. Initially, although I am generally an early adopter of technology or new ideas, this time, when we were told that we were going to be required to use iPads in the classroom, I was a bit skeptical in thinking that the use of iPads in a language learning environment was not the most ideal. This is because the devices were not originally designed for this purpose, and I wasn't sure how this was meant to play out.
Hi, I'm Jesse Balanik, and I've been teaching English for 10 years with a variety of different technologies. I have taught in South Korea and the UAE at the middle school, high school, and university level. After a year and a half from the beginning of the iPad initiative, I became the first EdTech coordinator for the Academic Bridge program. In that role, I support the rest of the faculty in effectively using mobile technology to enhance their teaching and learning. Before joining the Academic Bridge program at Zayed University, I had previous experience in a one-to-one laptop environment in the UAE, and I was initially very excited about the iPad initiative at Zayed University. I made a conscious decision before starting my first semester to push the iPad to its pedagogic limits and really do as much as I could with the device.
I have taught since 1996 in tech-enabled classrooms in Asia, the Middle East, and North America. I was hired by ZU in 2013, in part because of my background with technology at the tertiary level. I'd also taught Arab students at the tertiary level in the United States and in Saudi Arabia. All of this gave me a solid background. However, I had never taught for an institution that so thoroughly integrated technology into the curriculum. My research interests include intensive reading methodology as well as academic writing and writing across the curriculum. ZU has proved to be an ideal place to see how mobile learning affects students as they engage in the academic, that is, reading and writing skills. But first of all, I'm a classroom teacher. Yes, I do research, but teaching is a practical art. Thus, I am most interested in what happens in the classroom. I came to ZU post-integration, that is, after the mobile learning initiative had begun. By the time I came to ZU, all students and teachers had not just laptops but iPads, and my cohort of educators was expected to send the SAMR model past the first 2 levels. Currently, I'm on a team that is developing an app to provide targeted language support for academic reading. This project is funded through a research grant from Zayed University.
So in the spring of 2011, we were told that all of the higher education institutions in the UAE were going to roll out the use of iPads in the foundation programs starting in the fall of 2012. To do this, we had to look at how to overcome a few challenges. The first was engagement. We needed to first get buy-in from the faculty to actually use the devices. As many faculty members had never put their hands on the iPads, we needed to develop familiarization sessions to ease their anxiety towards this new technology. Since we were going to be using these devices in the classroom, it was also important to provide theoretical and pedagogical frameworks, so we took on the SAMR model by Puentedura. Our next challenge was to provide training. Prior to and throughout the fall 2012 semester, we offered a series of PD sessions focusing on specific apps, workflow, and pedagogical applications. However, the faculty still needed a great deal of support. Therefore, we organized in-house drop-in help centers that early adopters covered to meet on-demand needs for troubleshooting and integrating use in the classrooms. We also offered brown bag sessions where peers would share what they had done in their classes and how it worked or didn't for them. Jesse will talk about this a little bit more in detail later, but eventually we called for a set of EdTech mentors.
As a new faculty joining the ABP at the start of the iPad initiative, time was very short to get up to speed on learning how to use the new device, let alone learning how to use this new device effectively to support teaching and enhance learning. Another challenge was having the students get their iPads set up at the beginning of the first year. In the first year, the Computer Services Department supported the students in their basic setup of their iPads, but not how to use them as learning devices. After the first year, the CSD ceased its support of students, which basically left the in-class teachers to fill that role. Finally, a challenge was the use of e-textbooks. When students use their iPads routinely on a daily basis, the novelty of the device and the associated motivation and engagement increase which comes along with the novelty is diminished. Because e-textbooks we use are augmentative at best, the loss of motivation is not mitigated by any increase in educational benefits.
The infrastructure to support the mobile learning initiative simply was not yet there. Connections disappeared, websites such as Blackboard were slow to connect. This hurt content delivery and led to lowered student morale. Also, in my early screen-driven classes, I noticed that many students barely spoke a word of English to me or their classmates. This seemed opposed to the local culture, one in which Emiratis are both verbal and social. These tech issues and the passivity of the students led me to seek out a different classroom dynamic for future classes. Along with this, I had to master a number of apps, often on the fly. This led to a number of moments when the students had to teach the teacher how to do something on the iPad. Other students seemed overwhelmed by it all and showed little initiative. I knew I had to master the iPad itself and use a minimum of sites with a maximum of flexibility. Since content would be largely online, I'd also have to find a suitable way to manage the course. I wanted students to be able to find additional materials on their own, to harness both student initiative and differentiated learning, and to be able to communicate with me and with each other in an easy way.
Due to the iPad initiative, my teaching went through some alterations. So following the SAMR model that we originally offered as a pedagogical framework, I went through the substitution phase by making all of my materials available on an LMS rather than providing paper copies. For augmentation, I began using the internet to expand vocabulary building by using definitions, images, and online models. For modification, it came through the use of various apps to complete activities such as Pic Collage or Puppet Pals instead of paper posters or in front of the room presentations. Finally, redefinition can be seen in asking students to create movie productions for small class projects. These alterations have afforded me the ability to step away from the front of the room, but to allow the students to be creative and more engaged with their learning experience.
Since the beginning of the iPad initiative, the Integrated Skills project has been substantially redesigned to take advantage of the iPad's unique affordances, and as it is currently implemented, represents significant task redefinition compared to its previous form. Based on the perceived shortcomings of commercially available e-textbooks, the ABP management commissioned the in-house development of e-textbooks, which were designed from their inception to be transformative, including embedded presentations, interactive widgets that provide feedback to the instructor, web links, and web-based activities, as well as student mini projects, were designed to take advantage of the capabilities of the iPad. Now, the degree of transformative use of the iPad varies considerably from instructor to instructor. The ABP EdTech Committee is currently compiling a list of scalable, transformative practices as developed by individual instructors to be piloted and eventually deployed program-wide.
The technology issues gradually ceased. The connectivity became better, and I learned to use apps such as Schoology and Evernote to manage my class in a way that was easy for both the students and for me. With apps like Quip, I was able to conduct more open-ended, collaborative projects that moved up the SAMR ladder. Students now had the ability to perform more task-based learning. They could switch back and forth between research and discussion and share their ideas in a new way. I was careful to mix my delivery in order to appeal to all kinds of learners. At the same time, I often flipped the classroom, having students prep for the following day by showing a video, performing a task or assignment. This would be the trigger for the next day's lessons. This also enabled students to help each other, both in and out of class. It allowed for differentiated learning and a redefinition of what could be done in the classroom.
As I said, students became more engaged and participatory in their learning experience because the iPad integration has allowed for varied tasks. Due to the fact that we have 100-minute classes twice a day, every day, we can break up the time with some tablet tasks and some direct teaching now. Also, students can have a choice about the types of apps or ways to both express themselves and gain knowledge. Also, even though our classes are somewhat streamed, they are still different levels within these streams. Therefore, the iPads allow for differentiated instruction to occur, but on the student's own time and level. In other words, students can access the materials after the class if they need more review, or tasks can be done as more project or inquiry-based, allowing for students to do as much or as little as they are capable of doing, unlike paper-based that limits responses and creativity.
One of the major advantages of the iPad initiative has been the increase in the variety of student output, in particular with the Integrated Skills Project. Project-based learning with connected devices allows students to create multimodal outputs. The iPad is integral to every stage of the Integrated Skills Project, and outputs that we have seen from students include videos, ebooks, and even social networking campaigns. Another key advantage is ubiquitous learning. Instructors are able to leverage mobile apps and mobile-friendly learning systems to create materials that students can access outside of the classroom. Finally, the mobile initiative has increased the amount of data that teachers receive on student performance, both in real time and asynchronously. This increase in data has allowed for more responsive and differentiated instruction.
This extended student voice. Students could now communicate with me and each other. This frequently happened in ways that were outside of the traditional teacher-student dialogues in class. I appreciated how these communications were often collaborative in nature. Some of these happened via blogs and online discussions, but many discussions also happened via WhatsApp, as students created channels on which to discuss assignments. Students could also find information in real time. The ease of finding information also brought the information to the forefront. I found myself teaching informational literacy in a way that was much more visceral and much more immediate than I had before. These academic skills were then taught in context. As a teacher, I could also set tasks with open-ended yet finite outcomes. Students would then use their iPads for initial discussion, research and note-taking, and report writing. Then they would use the research to create a product and present it.